What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
This podcast contains language and themes of an adult nature and is intended for a mature audience. Hello and welcome to the Three Busted Barstools. You are joined by the last bastion of research in the Doctor, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. It's the guest appearance by the coach, and obviously myself, the Sasquatch. Obviously, Beric is absent again this week, so the coach has kindly joined us on this podcast. Episode 5, Season 2. Proudly brought to you in partnership with the Square Ball. How are we, gents? We all good?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, good. Not too bad at all. Yeah, a bit sour, to be quite honest, considering Dublin is set to host some Euro matches next year, and we're not going to be there.
Yeah,
because we lost on penalties.
We will get to that shortly.
We do have Spain. We do have Spain. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we have Spain, yeah. I have a Real Madrid jersey.
Podcast listeners who obviously don't have the visual, I am the only one remaining sober for this podcast, so we'll see how it goes.
Come on.
You might.
As I said, we do have Spain.
Yes, we do, yes.
Anyway, I suppose to kick us off, like we tend to do, we might need to mix it up next week, but we're in week 5 of the NFL. So couple of interesting matchups. I don't know, Doctor, I think you arrived late, so I don't know if you've had a chance to tune in since 6 p.m, but I certainly have.
No, so what's going on here?
Some interesting matchups. Philly's getting spanked again. Love to see that. We had a Thursday night fixture rematch of 2017 Super Bowl. Rematch the quarterbacks. Nick Foles victorious again.
What do we think about Tom Brady in his little fourth maneuver with his fingers?
Yeah, didn't it? Lost the
Was it
snap
convincing?
count.
Was it convincing?
Lost snap count. I mean, if you'd a rookie, you'd kill him.
Yeah, there's a lot of people coming out on Twitter and saying that he possibly knew what it was. I've read a few reports.
Yeah, either's is bad. I think either losing snap count or actually knowing and making that play. Either's just as bad.
Yeah.
What also transpired today is that the Patriots and Broncos game is cancelled this week.
Oh,
again, another COVID cancellation. So that's
the SAS. You might be able to explain this to me. Why is it postponed currently till Sunday? Do they both not have a game next Sunday?
No, they've basically been given a bye week this week.
Okay.
So their bye week is been moved forward. So I don't know what their original bye week was, but as you know, kind of every team gets a bye week. Similar to what would have happened. What was the other game was postponed? It was the Titans and Pittsburgh Steelers. That they got their bye in week 4 when they would have likely got it later in the season. It is what it is. We're adapting to the situations, but it's highly controversial. A number of at the start of the season when they work out various franchises' strength of schedule, when the bye week occurs is a huge factor in that. So if your bye week is in the early weeks, they deem it's a harder run then. So ideally you want it towards the end of the season or at least halfway through. So you get your rest up in your bye week, and then as you progress through to the end of the season, you have a straight run. But if you have a bye week early, say week 4, you're literally playing every weekend then until the Super Bowl if you're going to win it. I suppose a few other points of note around the league. Let me see any interesting matchups.
The meeting of Burrow-Jackson, I think, is a big one.
Is currently on, and I think Jackson is fairly well winning that contest at present.
Would we have expected anything else?
No, not really, no. Be interesting to see how the Colts and Cleveland goes. Cleveland seem to finally be hitting a bit of patch. Now, they lost Nick Chubb last week, but they have Kareem Hunt looking to restart his career after the infamous kick incident. And then I suppose the garbage can that is the NFC East, you've got a matchup there, the Giants and the Cowboys. You'd expect the Cowboys to win that, but I mean, anything's possible in that division at the minute. And then lastly,
there's probably fans calling for both coaches' heads, like Cowboys Giants.
the Giants are unlucky. They've had a lot of injuries. Their star player is Saquon, and he's out injured. I think Daniel Jones isn't going to cut it. And I think you could have two New York franchises duking it out for the number 1 draft pick next year, which is Trevor Lawrence, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Eagerly anticipated to be the easiest transition for anyone from college football to the pros, given his abilities. He is phenomenal. I don't know if anyone caught the game at the weekend. Clemson beating Miami, but he was, again, superlative. Other than that, anything else to add in the NFL this week, gents? We might kick it on to international football.
I haven't really been tuning in,
Yeah.
to be quite honest, to a lot of things over the last couple of days. But I can remember it was last weekend, that young lad, now what team does he play for? Joe Burrows?
Yeah.
Is it Joe Burrows?
Cincinnati Bengals, yeah.
Set any more records this weekend, did
He
he?
did. No, he's losing. He's currently losing 17-0. 17-0.
Fuck's sake. Come on, Joe, pull the finger out.
The young lad with the cigar in his mouth.
Yeah.
Titans. I'm reading between the lines here, and I'm thinking they're way off. They were wrong, and I think the NFL have got to go hard or go home in terms of COVID-19 and in terms of.
There was reports of coaches not adhering to face mask procedure, and that's been linked to their game has actually been pushed back to Tuesday night this week as well because of more cases, with their practice facility locked today as well, in line with the New England Patriots. So
it sounds as though that they've got a real situation on their hands, and that it looks as though they were just letting players kind of do what they want, maybe outside of the bubble.
Yeah, there was a few different reports, obviously all allegations. So coaches weren't adhering to the mask policy, and players were training when the facility was locked. Not good in the battle against COVID. Let's be honest, which we don't condone.
And in hindsight,
No.
would you have gone ahead with the NFL now, knowing all these? It seems to me from an outside, like, I'm an NFL fan. I wouldn't be a massive NFL fan, but I am an NFL fan. Was the money too much to turn down? Would you have gone ahead with it? Do you ruin history by not having a champion of 2020?
A, the money was probably too much. B, you're looking now, we're in week 5. You've had 2 games cancelled, so you're probably looking at still getting about 95, 96% of the games played. Now, you don't know what's going to lie in the weeks ahead of us, but I don't think you can just lie over and wait for this thing to roll over us and see what way the world's going to look when we're done with COVID. I think you do need to try and live with it. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, could they have looked at something similar to NBA and maybe based 4, 6, or 8 teams in one city to play over a few weeks in a playoff style?
The size of an NFL panel, the size of an NFL backroom team, I don't think it's possible. They did discuss potentially taking the entire Las Vegas Strip, which is huge, and then just playing out of the Raiders' new stadium. But I don't think the logistics of it are well. Plus, with that number of people in a bubble, if I know it's worked out well for the NBA in Orlando, but if it only takes one case, and then where are you? Whereas now they can they can postpone a game and get the other games played all around the states. So I think it is working. There's been some good games, irrespective of the fans.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is working, but I think they probably need to look at their younger players and maybe come down a little bit harsher. Like the veterans in the league seem to be, from what I've seen, adhering and sticking to the rules as best as possible. But yeah, they've got to come down hard. I think they need to set a precedent and come down hard on possibly the Titans, just to set a marker going forward for the rest of the season. What are we even halfway there now?
No, we're nowhere near halfway. This is week 5. You obviously have 17 weeks.
Yeah.
The regular season, every team has 16 games, and that's what the bye week kind of falls in.
Well, they need to come down hard now, I think, and nip it in the bud. And I see the Chiefs are again drawing with the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders are low key good this year. They're low key good this year. And else that, gents, or are we happy to?
Actually, do you know what? Sorry, just on, because I know like the listeners would know that I never engage when it comes to NFL talk. But I'm starting to get into it now, and given this Tom Brady thing, I want you to give me some insight into this. So basically, one of the comments says Brady refuses to shake Foles' hand just like he did after the Super Bowl.
Yes.
What is that about?
So
they have a beef, do they?
They do and they don't. So I wouldn't call it a beef.
As such,
they have a stereotyping.
Yeah. I know they're exceptionally white, if that makes sense.
Privileged.
Yeah. But geez, we're gonna get shut down now. Wait till you see. But I just don't think Tom Brady likes losing and losing in embarrassing fashion. I don't think he believes Nick Foles would be on his level because he has a bit of an air about him. And Nick Foles has beaten him now twice. Not embarrassing, but Tom Brady was expected to beat the Philadelphia Eagles the year they won the Super Bowl because of the injuries they'd sustained. And he was phenomenal that night. And then obviously he lost to the Chicago Bears on Thursday Night Football. But it was Tom Brady's mistake.
Yeah.
Why they lost. So I just think it's a bit of sour grapes. I wouldn't read too much into it. They're not going to start a Twitter beef if that's what you but yeah, no.
Maybe he was just adhering to pandemic rules.
Absolutely, could be right there.
Speaking of pandemic rules, did you read the one about the team in Germany that lost 37-0?
No,
because they wanted to adhere to social distancing rules. So I think in Germany at the time, their social distancing is 2 meters, the same as Ireland, and apparently, they basically stuck to that and didn't want to get too close to people, as in the opposition, and ended up losing 37-0. Now I think this is like basically a Sunday League or whatever, but it got a lot of attention in the media, went viral. So they lost 37-0. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't tell you what the name of the team is. But if you do look it up on Google, I'm sure if you Google German football team 37-0, the whole thing will come up. Yeah. But such is the consequence.
Sorry, at the end of the game the other night, between Tampa Bay and the Bears, did Foles walk to Brady? Because I didn't see this. Did he walk over to him?
It was kind of, basically the full-time whistle goes and it was a coming together of players and they all shake hands, and apparently Brady refused to shake Foles' hand. Obviously, that's in the early hours here in Ireland, so I didn't see it. I watched the highlights. It wasn't covered in the highlights, but
exactly. Yeah, I'm in the same way. I think if that is the case, I think Brady probably needs to grow up. He's the oldest player in the league now, probably. So
yeah.
I don't care if you're a hard sore loser or whatever, but
I mean, at 86 years of age, Brady should
yes.
There's one more comment sorry, that I'll throw out there. So you got it. Obviously, I need to be proper educated
in this thing.
But you might be able to answer this. So literally, somebody zoned out to 100 said somewhere Brian Hoyer is smiling.
That's the backup quarterback for the New England Patriots.
Right. Yeah. So he was literally second fiddle to Brady for 10 years or something.
No, he would have bounced around the league, but he would have been the last few years. But now he's second fiddle to Cam, who was out with COVID.
Right.
So
who's got the cough?
He's got the cough. Got the Rona.
Yeah.
Once he's not mixing with people he should be mixing with.
Well, there was actually
large gatherings.
It's actually a great
which
tweet
we don't condone.
There's actually a great tweet about Cam Newton. I don't know if any is follow him or social media, or I've ever seen any of his tweets. They're written in a very confusing style to read. It's like weird characters. Have any of you ever seen this?
No.
I think I've seen one or two.
Yeah, it's like weird hieroglyphics almost. Really hard to read. But he's put out a tweet and it was like, wear your masks, abide by the rules, and it was in perfect script, and it was like, you know this shit's serious when Cam Newton writes like an adult.
But wears a scarf around his head like your granny in the tweet.
Yeah, fair. That's valid. Anyway, I think we've covered the NFL in enough depth. It's
Yeah.
trying to move on. I know I can sense from you two guys you're keen to try and avoid it, but let's touch base on
Yeah.
the dreaded international window.
Yeah,
Wow.
Jesus.
Tough week to be an Irish football fan.
Yeah, very tough.
I think we all sat through, what was it, about 200 minutes of football without a goal.
Mm.
The positive side, without a goal conceded. But yeah, not a good week. And I think as an Irish footballing camp, I think anything that could go wrong went wrong for them. You had instances of
Yeah, pure Murphy's Law, innit?
backroom staff falling victim to COVID.
Yeah.
Players now being, it hasn't been confirmed which player or anything like that, but suspected COVID.
That's correct, yeah.
Obviously losing away to Slovakia on penalties.
Yeah.
And then a dab 0-0 draw with Wales today. James Green sent off, second yellow. Bit of petulance involved, especially after the second yellow.
Yeah.
I'll say.
I say let's throw shit at the wall and see if it sticks. I say if we're reading between the lines here and you can do the maths correctly and you're trying to figure out what player has COVID, I'm pretty sure you can figure it out. If you look at the four players, you take the four close contacts out of the squad.
Yeah.
You're left with one player that was an unused sub on what night did we play them? Was it Friday night? No, Thursday.
Thursday
night.
Thursday night.
There's one player
yeah.
left in the
Yeah.
squad Thursday night, and he wasn't in the squad today. So if you read between the lines, I think you could figure out which player has tested positive.
Yeah, because they weren't allowed travel either. They had to get their separate flights apart away from the team, didn't they?
Yeah, I believe his initials would be DW, but you know, that's we're not confirming anything on the three busted bar stools here. We're just
DW.
I'm just gonna throw this out there.
Yeah.
The coach, I know you're making a guest appearance. We can't afford to get sued for slander.
Yes, not because some of us just don't have the fucking money to pay him.
I think by the time this show goes to air, I think we will know who the player might be.
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
that's fair.
That's fair. Yeah.
It can only be one of five, and I know it is up to the player themselves to confirm whether they want to be named or not. You know, if fans want to go and do the math themselves, I believe they will.
Which I'm sure they will, yeah.
Yeah, along with numerous media sources. But my big question, I don't know if we've all been keeping up to date over the weekend or whatever, but Alameda and Connolly seem to have got themselves in a little bit of a predicament.
Which is
Moving seats on their plane, their private plane where they were designated seating, which they decided evidently not to sit in.
Oh,
that's
Yeah, so
can't be doing that.
Gary Owens spoke this evening to multiple media sources, and
He did, yeah.
he kind of went along the kind of trend of that the coaching staff and management will be at the front of the plane, players to the center, and extra staff to the back, and that two players decided to go and move seats to the back of the plane, which seems to be tonight that it was following HSE and FAI guidelines, or more so HSE guidelines, they couldn't play due to a test that they would have. Well, we don't know how the test went, do we? But close contacts to another test, but that wasn't the UEFA test. So evidently they could have, in a roundabout way, played the game. And I think this is where Stephen Kenny's frustration is coming from over his last 2 or 3 press conferences.
Yeah, that's right. What he also said was that he was saying everyone that travelled with the team was an essential worker, basically, and saying UEFA give us guidelines to say, well, you need like communications on the ground, and you need obviously medical on the ground, X, Y, and Z. So everyone who was on that plane that travelled with the team, apart from management and the players themselves, was a UEFA sanctioned essential worker, basically staff member that needed to be there. So it's not a case of we just brought these lads for the crack and they're from like the marketing team or whatever. No, it was a UEFA sanctioned basically essential worker with the team that had travelled with them. So yeah, they followed all the rules, but
yeah, look, the other side of things is Stephen Kenny has now 4 games without
a win,
and very little goals.
Yeah.
What is, do you think Absolutely no way am I calling for Stephen Kenny to resign or be sacked. But I just think Stephen Kenny, very early in his career, I think he may be a club type manager. He needs time to work on a system and a formation, and
I do believe we don't have the talent in the squad to marry what his expectations are for the squad.
Yeah, but I think like I'd say fair play to him for like taking the risk of bringing so many League of Ireland players into the squad. Now I know maybe only a handful, but at the same time, like I can remember when Mick McCarthy got the sack after those results against Switzerland and Russia, and who was it? Who was the interim? Was it Brian Kerr was the interim manager before we got a
Mick McCarthy part one.
Mick McCarthy part one.
Wasn't that Don Gibbons? No.
Don Gibbons. Yes. It was Don Gibbons, and he had brought. We were playing Greece in a friendly that was 0-0, and he had brought Glenn Crowe in, and Glenn Crowe actually, I think, if I remember correctly, started that, and he wasn't too bad. But at the same time, you were kind of like, it's always that age-old argument where it's like, oh yeah, no, the only players skinned to the Ireland squad are only going to be ones who are playing in the Premier League or at least the Championship.
I personally do think that additional League of Ireland players in the Irish squad is probably a reflection of a lack of quantity of quality players. And maybe that's a bit very harsh in the League of Ireland. I don't mean to put it in that light, but that would be my way of thinking. Is that if you had an Irish squad with, say, for example, just throwing together, say it was a 30-man squad, 8 of them were from the League of Ireland, I would say that's a lack of a quantity issue in terms of quality players. Because let's be honest, I do think kids in this country grow up dreaming of playing in the Premier League, not the League of Ireland.
I agree, Sass. I agree. Do I think Jack Byrne is good enough to be in the squad?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I think if you look at Wes Hoolahan, for an example, didn't make it till quite late in his career in England. Jack Byrne has been, I don't know if you want to say unlucky or possibly didn't take opportunities that he was given. I see he's linked over the weekend heavily with Bournemouth and with a move to the MLS. Would he get more in the, would he be picking every single Irish squad if he was playing for Bournemouth? Yeah, if he was playing every week. If he was a sub or if he was in the reserves for Bournemouth, would he get picked every week? No, I don't think so. So what does that mean for us in terms of an international squad? Is he good enough? I think he's good enough on occasion. If that makes... If we're looking to play a system that includes a creative number 10, I don't see why he wouldn't be in the squad as maybe a second choice. If you look at it, it's probably Hendrick that's playing ahead of him. And Hendrick probably hasn't done enough for Newcastle yet. I know he's had a good couple of games for Newcastle, but he probably hasn't done enough yet.
He's played out of position when he plays for Ireland, though.
Oh, 100%. But I think Kenny was resigned to the fact that he was not going to qualify for the Euros. I think Gary Owens, I think the FAI would probably also resign to the fact they weren't going to qualify, and this was always a building process. I don't think they've had three. Look, if you look at it, they've had 3 chances to qualify, haven't they? They had to beat Switzerland. They had to be. I can't remember who the next game was against, and then they had the playoffs. So they've had 3 chances to qualify.
Yeah.
And I think that ultimately that's what you have to look at. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it's just tough being an Irish football fan, I think, at present, and I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel.
With all this COVID stuff, do you think you look at the Nations League games now? So it's us, Wales, Finland, and who's the other one? Bulgaria. Do you think maybe they should have just brought all 4 nations to, say, Dublin and just played, a game on a Friday, a game on a Sunday, or something like that?
I think
to avoid all the travel.
I think, irregardless, I think you are going to see a spike in COVID in professional football, domestically.
Well, should they be there as a result?
Yeah, but when the players return to their clubs,
Oh, I completely agree, and that's why I asked the question. What do you think we should have been allowed? Not we, because I'm not a professional footballer. But do you think we should have been allow players go to international duty, or you see the way we've got international duty now? We had international duty in September, and we've got international duty in November. If we had just put those 2 or 3 weeks together in November and just let them go into another bubble as such and play the games, yeah.
Because it would just marry a winter break up with Italy and Spain.
Because ultimately now your squad that's playing for, I don't know, you name any club, you're now bringing how many bubbles into your own bubble?
Yeah, like absolutely, absolutely. Especially the bigger clubs, the likes of your City, the likes of your Chelsea, the players playing for nearly every nation in the.
Bobby Firmino, he's over in Brazil, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And they're actually playing in Brazil. Where I know other times they've gone and played in London, they play their home games in London and stuff like that because.
So many players based in Europe, yeah.
But now you're how many time zones, how many airports are getting off it? Well, I'm sure they're probably private jets, but
the cases in Brazil Brazil's one of the leaders in terms of cases. So yeah, look, I don't want to say it's scary, but I do think you're gonna have a huge issue in the Premier League, in Serie A, Bundesliga. All as a result of this international window. I just think it was maybe too soon, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think if you get a winter break, you grab them all in for 2 weeks. They're joining another bubble for 2 weeks. Give them a week rest when they're coming back into their club squads. Or not rest as such, but a week isolation, quarantine, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, load managed. Yeah. Look, and then I suppose we've had a bit of movement as well in the Premier League this weekend in particular. So the first being on Friday was announced that Sky Sports and BT Sports, in partnership with each other, have announced a new pay-per-view box office service as such. So all games are now viewable, but to pay games outside of their originally slated. So basically, say on Saturday you've got the Merseyside derby, you've got Arsenal, City, but the late game is United Newcastle. If you were looking to view that game, you can pay £15, I think is the price quoted, and it will be in place from Saturday. So Man United Newcastle, you can pay £15 if you want to see that game.
Jesus, no thanks.
But I think it's going to be a failure. But what I think is worrying is it's actually, say, probably not so much an issue in this country, but, well, depending on the club. But in the UK, say like Saturday, the late game, the 8 o'clock game, United Newcastle, that's a pay-per-view game.
Yeah.
So if there's a series of Man United fans, why wouldn't they chip in together, buy the game at £15, and all go into bed into one house? I don't think it's responsible by the Premier League, by Sky Sports, by BT. I think there's scope for a lot of issues. And then, in addition, there's new proposal put together by Liverpool, led by Liverpool, agreed with by a number of the clubs. They're looking at restructuring the Premier League altogether from next season on. So it will be an 18 club division.
Okay. So like back in the day, like the way it is with Bundesliga and the
quite a bit of difference
in Portugal.
Quite a bit of difference though.
As in 18-team league, did you say?
18-team league, 2 teams automatically relegated. The third and fourth lowest ranked team go into a competition with third, fourth, and fifth in the championship.
Yeah.
The details weren't properly ironed out. With one team coming back up, I think was really bizarre. They want Premier League to only be Saturdays and Sundays. They want midweek gone. They want the Carabao Cup scrapped. They want the Community Shield scrapped. They only want European football midweek. They also want new rules that mean that the clubs in the Premier League, the 9 longest serving clubs in the Premier League, will have additional votes when it comes to anything that needs to be voted on, and they'll also have the right to veto a new manager, new owner.
Okay.
Which is like, and it's kind of making your big clubs far more powerful than they are, and that's the kind of the dark side of it. And then additionally, they want an independent women's league, so independent of the FA or the Premier League, and I think they want more money going towards grassroots and women's football in general. It's going to be interesting. It literally kind of was breaking today, so it's kind of something to follow interestedly.
It's a few bizarre things in that. Like I was looking at the role that Arsene Wenger has with is it FIFA or UEFA?
FIFA.
And he was saying he would change a couple of rules as well. Now, one of them in particular, to be honest, I can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't have it in front of me, but I can remember one of them was like when somebody whips in a corner and it goes out but back in, that it should be still allowed to be back in play.
Okay. Yeah.
So like another way, you whip a corner in, so if it's a left-footed player and it like goes out over the end line, and then comes back in, and they judge it to you say, well, no, that's out. He wants to change that rule. There was some other rule now. Jesus, I can't remember off the top of my head what he said, but they kind of looking into them and thinking about it, you're kind of like, okay, yeah.
They're not the craziest ideas.
Yeah, they're not the craziest ideas, but at the same time, they're ideas nonetheless.
Yeah.
You know, so it might be interesting to see that if he pushes it, will respective FAs put them in place, or will UEFA or FIFA say, yeah, well, you can put these in place, these are going to be the rules now?
I find there's a lot of issues. You look at the handball issue, that.
Yeah, huge.
Technically, I don't want to. I know you guys have talked about it before. I don't want to bring it up again and cause controversy, but the handball rule was introduced in the European competitions, i.e. Champions League, Europa League, a year, possibly 2 years before Premier League had it.
I think the issue with it is its combination with VAR.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
I think that's
because we've seen it, like it's just a huge issue.
I do get where you're coming from, Coach. Yeah. You were fairly vocal, I think, after that episode, and I understand now. Always willing to be corrected. Yeah. But I do think it's the combination with VAR which hasn't worked. Well, it has worked and it hasn't worked.
It has worked if it's worked in your favor.
Yeah.
But going back to your original point with the leagues, I think we need to give the clubs with the power. I think I hate to say this, we need to give them that little bit of extra power, and not because they need the extra power. I just think what they're saying makes sense.
Yeah. Look,
and it's dangerous. It is dangerous, but maybe we don't give them the power. Maybe I think the only thing they've got wrong there is FA probably still need to have the power of the league.
Yeah, so like it's fair enough to give them the power, maybe, and maybe there is a point there, but I do think it needs to be almost have an ombudsman first. So no club goes above and beyond their power, or they don't start brokering with each other.
Yeah, I think. I fear that if we don't even tick some of their boxes, I fear that we lose our top 4 or 6 to a European league, to a
super competition that they're
a powerhouse.
So it's fairly mad. I mean, like if you look at
saying we when we're Irish,
the likes of like if you look at the likes of the rules, I could say the handball rule, or what is judged to be a foul that could give you a yellow card or a red card, like they're actual laws. So if you look at a GAA incident, so I'd say like, just for example, the Dermot Connolly incident against Carlow where he got a red card and he appealed it, like those weren't GAA lads who were like, well, this is the rule or that is the rule. They were actual lawyers, solicitors, or whatever they call them in this country, who had a look at the case, had a look at the rule and said, well, this is the law of the GAA, X, Y, and Z.
The law of an amateur sport.
Law of the sport.
Yeah, like it is interesting, I suppose. Especially when you say when you look at say the NFL, as powerful as that league is, those referees are all effectively amateur or part time, but you'll find the majority of them, their real job is in the legal system in America. A lot of them are judges, a lot of them are high up in writing legislation, stuff like that. So they come from an understanding rules and regulations. if that makes sense, as opposed to sport-specific people.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So like,
We
it'll make you
digress.
wonder, like,
You
it'll make
digress.
you wonder. It'll make you wonder. Like, we'll say if, Jesus, we'd say if like James McLean got sent off today. So is he like banned Steph in the next game against, who was it we're playing? Hungary, is it, or Finland?
Finland. So
like, if he was to appeal that, would it be just
Wednesday
a bunch
night,
of
7 o'clock. 5 o'clock.
Wednesday night, 7 o'clock?
Five
I'm sure.
o'clock, 5
I'm sure it's on Sky Sports because I'm not paying 15 quid for it.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's Premier League box office. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think anyone would pay 15 quid to watch an.
So would it be a
football
case
game.
of, if he was to like appeal that, it would just be a load of solicitors coming into a room as opposed to a bunch of UEFA guys as such?
It's very hard to know. Like I think,
Yeah.
like someone told me, and I don't know how true this is, but you know the whole incident with Messi and trying to leave Barcelona.
Yeah.
Someone told me if he had more time, he was going to take it to CAS, you know, the Court of Arbitration for Sport, because it was going to be a legal issue. Because basically what had happened is La Liga intervened and wouldn't let. La Liga made the final ruling, which obviously they want to keep him in La Liga because he is now their best player.
He's now their best player and their top drawer, yeah.
I guarantee you, had Messi said, I want to go to Madrid, he'd be at Real Madrid.
Absolutely. And that was his argument. But they said because the transfer window was closing in, he didn't think he'd have enough time to bring it to CAS and get a ruling before the end of the transfer window. But I fully expect him to pick up the pace in January again.
I fully expect him to end up playing in Man City Blue in January. By the sounds of things, by their sporting director this morning.
Yeah.
He talks big game.
Yeah.
He does talk big game.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they certainly have they're one of maybe 2 or 3 clubs in the world that have the money to pay his wages. Because I'm sure if he does leave, he's going to be going on a free anyway, isn't he?
Not now.
Not now. He's only
So basically the stipulation of his contract, and it was always in his contract, was that he could leave, but he had to give them, it was a fixed date. Say it was the 1st of June. He had to let them know by the 1st of June, I'm willing to stay on next year, or I'm willing. Oh, he didn't have to tell him he was willing to stay on. He just had to tell him he wanted to renege on his contract. But his argument was, with COVID, that deadline should have been extended. So basically what happened is they got absolutely hammered by Munich. And he was like, I want out.
It's like going to Football Manager and clicking trigger extension.
Yeah. Effectively. And that's where it comes out to. But his argument is because of COVID, it could have been extended. It should have been extended.
I did like 5 quid on Munich at half time to win 7-2. And they ended up winning 8-2. Thanks very much for that.
He's couldn't have laid off.
Would have won over 200 quid actually.
Yes, couldn't have laid off.
They were giving me good odds at half time, Paddy Power. So
gents, we digress.
Gamble responsibly, by the way.
I'm not English, but I just checked on the England result and I was watching them earlier on and they're looking good. Extremely good. Amongst their problems, they have a lot of problems. Don't get me wrong. They have a lot of problems with school children and kind of breaking rules and such. But they're looking very good. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, where have you been? Where have you been?
Yeah. It's quite odd when you're not, even if though you're not watching the match, but you check out the scores on like the Sky Sports app or whatever. So they beat Wales 3-0 the other day. I was kind of looking at the scores and I was like, Calvert-Lewin, okay, yes, he's on form for Everton. Connor Cody, who plays for Wolves, and who scored their other goal? It was 3 different scores.
It was 3 different scores. Calvert-Lewin, Cody, and I can't remember their third score actually.
Yeah, who was it?
I'm trying to look back at it.
Oh, they were playing Wales, yeah. Sorry, so.
They were playing Wales. I'll be
Danny Ings.
He was also on fire.
Yeah.
And now you look at England and you think, we haven't had a proper goal scorer, probably since Wayne Rooney. Yeah. And now they are inundated with goal scorers.
Harry Kane, maybe, no?
Oh, Harry Kane, but
Harry Kane, yeah.
Harry Kane. Yeah. Okay. Fair. But they're inundated with goal scorers now, be it from centre forward or from midfield.
fair play. Like it's
Danny Ings, I feel like he's one of those players that deserves it. I think if you were the SAS, I think you would want to make your squad at Arsenal.
I don't think so. I think we're more than good enough. Speaking of strikers and signing at their clubs, it brings us swiftly on to our lone fan question for this week.
only one.
Only one, but it's another name in the draw, and I'd just like to make all listeners aware that we're currently running a promotion for a £60 gift voucher for USA Sports. So basically, one fan question over the episodes 4, we're now in 5, and episode 6 will be drawn from a hat, and we'll receive the voucher. So you have one opportunity left, and it will be next week. So make sure to get those fan questions in nice and early next week. All right, lads, I'm just going to play this question. It's from a gentleman by the name of Kevin.
Oh, okay. Hello, Kevin.
Cavani wanting the number 7 jersey at Man United is a big responsibility to take on, especially if he's going to bring United to the next level of the rebuild under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. What do you think of that?
So basically, it's probably quite hard to listen to, but he's asking about Cavani requesting the number 7. I think he did record it through a potato, but
interesting one. Like he is a really good player. Is he PSG's all-time top goal scorer? But at the same time, he's like 33 and he's a striker.
Yeah.
People are saying, he isn't going to have it in him anymore. But I mean, have a little bit of faith for now. I mean, if you look at Ibrahimovic, he's like 39 and he's still playing as a striker.
Dangerous.
That man will never
dangerous
retire.
Point to make.
Never retire. But a lot of people were like, I've seen.
How is he? He has COVID. Is he over yet? Ibra.
I think he's over now. Yeah. Now it was a bit of thing because it was
COVID over Ibra, I think is the question.
Yeah,
I think
COVID.
Yeah, I think it was during the week. He was like, I tested negative for it, but the next day I tested positive for it. So we don't really know what's going on.
That's usually what happens.
But the number 7.
Is it confirmed that he requested it or the club gave it to him? That's my first question.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually.
I think it's
either way.
It's a moot point because you've young Jesse Lingard coming up there through the ranks. I mean, surely he's United's future 7, huh? Young Jay Lings, huh?
Come on now.
Number 7 at Cambridge United, I think maybe.
I don't see him as a solution for United. I think United's problem is coaching. I brought it up before.
He's old as well.
Sorry?
He's old as well. He got a 2-year contract. Yeah, I know I made that comment there a couple of minutes ago about Zlatan being 39 now at this stage, I think, and still going. But they need to get somebody in a lot younger.
Yeah, and I think they need to invest in coaching, and I think, unfortunately for United, right, Ed Woodward, I think, is a bit out of his depth. I don't think he's good enough. And I think your biggest problem is the Glazers. Don't give a shite. You're making them money, and they're far more concerned about what's going on in Tampa right now as the owners of the Buccaneers. Yeah. I don't think they really care about United. United will always make money.
Yeah.
Irrespective.
I would think they're dangerously close to a season of not making money. I think Cavani, should he be number 7? No. Should he be in Manchester United? No. I'm a Liverpool fan. Do I want to see United fail? Yes. But do I want to see them compete with others? Yes, I also do, because a Premier League without Man United isn't the Premier League. I think Cavani, I don't think he's a Solskjaer signing. Absolutely not.
No.
Do I think any of the signings have been Solskjaer? No, I don't.
No, any of the signings that they made in this transfer window have not been Solskjaer. And I think he pretty much made that clear himself, as in, like, he wanted... my mind's gone blank now for a second. Hang on. Obviously, Sancho. Solskjaer wanted Sancho himself, didn't he? That wasn't the board or Ed Woodward.
That's a complete disaster.
Complete disaster. And still it rolls on.
What was that line from Dortmund? We've said no 27 times.
27 times. And come back to the Cavani thing. United are in deep trouble. They're in deep trouble. I'm not sure where they go. They need wholesale changes. I think they need to cash in on De Gea. I think they need a centre half. I'm completely bemused as to why they didn't keep Chris Smalling. I've no idea. He's their best defender. They're in trouble. They're in trouble, Jeff. Yeah, they're in big trouble. I really am.
Jeff?
If I was a betting man, which I am, I would say United don't finish top 10 this year, and you can mark my words.
Don't finish top 10, did you just say? That is a huge fucking statement to make.
Mark it here.
And on that bombshell,
2, episode 5, United do not finish top 10.
And on that bombshell,
listeners,
we'll return after a
huge
quick word
statement just made
from
right
our
there.
sponsors. Hi everyone, it's the Sasquatch here from the Three Busted Barstools podcast. This episode and all episodes in season 2 are produced in partnership with the Square Ball. The Square Ball is located just off Marion Square. It has dozens of screens showing televised sport and award-winning barbecue, making it the perfect spot in Dublin to catch the game. For more information or to book in, please visit the-square-ball.com. Thanks. Hello and welcome back to episode 5, season 2 of the Three Busted Barstools podcast. We're kind of in a bit of a strange place. I think tempers were frayed just before the break. I think there's some lines you just don't cross. I think there was allegations thrown down by our guest member on his first appearance, the coach. But moving swiftly on, something that hopefully will raise a bit of spirit around the nation. We're getting some inter-county action next week. The GA returns. The last 2 rounds, willing to be correct on that, of the National League in the lead-in to inter-provincial championships, followed by All-Ireland championships. The GA have opted to revert back to the old way of doing things with no backdoor system. It will be semi-finals of each provincial winner. And then the finals, the hurling is slated for the 13th of December, with the football slated for the 9th of December. I suppose just also, I suppose there's no more club action as the GA have suspended all that pending announcements on Tuesday. You could say due to actions of fans, etc. But anyway, we're back Saturday, 17th of October. Big day for sports. But yeah, it's great to have it back. There's going to be some interesting matchups. The one I have marked down, and I think a lot of people will be, current All-Ireland champions versus off against the old rival.
Going for the 6 in a row.
Facing in the highlighted game, the 7 o'clock game there, Dublin versus Meath. Meath making a return to Division 1. Haven't been there. Jesus, it's years. I couldn't actually tell you the last year, but it's early noughties anyway, I think.
Neither could I.
So we're looking forward to it, gents.
Yes, we are. Yes. Now,
yes.
I do look forward more to the hurling myself, but
yeah.
I've been this morning. There was reports of the big man himself, Jim McGuinness, coaching Galway footballers.
Really?
Yes, and that excites me. That really excites me.
Yeah, because there's nothing I like to see more than Mayo Bet. I
don't think. Yeah, look, I think it's great for. I think it's great for GAA. It's whether you like it or not, Jim McGuinness is a bit of a celebrity, and he's going to bring some eyes back on the game. I think.
Look,
in the Connacht region.
In any sport, having intellectual coaches can only benefit you.
Yeah.
And he's a genius, Jim, to be fair to him. He was successful enough at Celtic too as well. A lot of people forget that.
Yeah, that's right. He spent some time over in Celtic.
Celtic was well regarded over in Celtic.
What about a stint in China though?
That's correct. He did have a stint in China.
It's great to see Donald Trump back on his legs, actually, now that you do bring up China.
No, it's not.
Opinion on penalties, lads.
Go Joe Biden.
Mayo over sandwiches.
And Mayo for sandwiches.
Well,
What were you saying about Penos?
Yeah.
I would just like to say, I'd like to state here as the coach, I'm anyone but Dublin would be my team of choice.
Really?
100%.
As a
In
Dublin
the hurling,
native?
as a,
What did you just say?
I would be a Wexford fan. I've roots.
Ah,
I have a lot of
Come
family
on.
in the county of the Yellow Belly. But
we want to thank the coach for his guest appearance. Next week we'll have
This will be his last.
somebody else.
yeah, look, Wexford is strong in my heart, and I've represented them in a sport at their highest level, which is quite a low level, evidently. But Wexford would be my team of choice when it comes to the hurling, and when it comes to football, it will be anyone but Dublin, as I, hate them. So
Have you not lived any life in Dublin though?
I will be watching Dublin versus Meath on the 17th of October, and I will be hoping that Meath do run out winners. And I think if anyone is to beat Dublin and they're not through 6 in a row, this is the year to do it. I think.
Wow. It's strange being in the majority when it comes to inter-county rivalry. Anyway, look, it's going to be interesting. I think the Dublin situation is actually very interesting in that, like, you do have a number of high-profile players having stood away. You've a change in management. I do think a lot of the culture and stuff will still carry over and kind of the standards expected, but it's whether they can actually deliver this year. I mean, they have had let's be honest, they've had a perfect 6-year period. Not saying everything's gone right for them, but in terms of actual on-field performance, everything has been performed to perfection by them, if that makes sense. Just to run you through the matchups. I mean, in Division 1, you've also got Monaghan and Kerry. That's actually going to be a good game because you've two fantastic footballers to watch. Kerry, I think, are actually on the rise. I think Kerry would be my pick for All-Ireland winners this year.
Yeah, I think if anyone is going to challenge Dublin and, dare I say it, knock them off their perch, it's probably going to be Kerry.
Yeah, because they've all been working from home for the last...
we're WFH. They were, I don't know whether you could say Kerry were so unlucky or Dublin were so lucky last year in the draw match after Johnny Cooper was sent off, but take it as it is. Dublin got the draw and then beat them in the replay. But anyway, go on there, Sass.
Yeah, but you've also got McManus in that as well. Fantastic footballer. So that's a great game. Other Division 1 games, let me just look through the list. It's actually not a lot. The only other Division 1 game that I can see on next weekend is Donegal and Tyrone, which will be
pushback.
Be a slugfest.
Yeah,
it'll be pushback.
Ah, yes.
It'll be a slugfest. Probably will be pushback. There's also talk that the Division 2 matchup between Clare and Fermanagh will also be postponed. Fermanagh are looking to get that postponed because of issues with COVID in the camp. That's still decided.
The Antrim game.
Yeah, look, but that's, to be fair, that's Division 2A hurling. So it's against Kerry and hurling. So I don't think there's an awful fans be disappointed to see that. I do think we will get an inter-county championship. I do think we will see the last 2 rounds of the National League. But I think if you're looking for a guideline as to how it's going to go, look to the NFL. They've had 2 games suspended in the last week. I do think they're going to get a lot of postponements. I don't think the initial dates slated for the All-Ireland final are going to happen. I think it could be January, it could be February before we get an All-Ireland final or an All-Ireland champion for 2020. So it could be
I'll drop a grenade.
Going to drop a grenade. Here we go.
Come on, yeah.
The 6 counties will not compete.
I do not think there is any illness, virus, war known to man that could stop Tyrone competing.
No illness apart from the United Kingdom.
Jeez. We're not going down that rabbit hole.
Let's not go down that hole, but that is a very, very good point.
Yeah,
Coach. Thank you for pointing that out.
I'm just thinking, I
I don't want
to get a lot of hate on my Twitter or my Instagram, but I just feel the amount of cases up there for a quarter of our population.
Yeah.
Oh, of the island's population, I should say, not of our. Because the island is not fully ours.
Yeah, we should put that out to the fans actually for next week.
Should put it to Boris.
If you just want to send in a question, a question related to that or anything else that you've spoken about, drop it into us.
Yeah. Anything else to add on
We
the
discuss.
GA National League?
I think the hurling is going to be really, really interesting.
I think, especially with it returning to the old traditional way of doing it, the Munster Championship is going to be phenomenal.
It's going to be lit.
It just
Munster Championship is always phenomenal.
Oh, I know, but this year especially, players starved of knocking the shit out of each other all summer.
Two things,
and it's do or die.
Two things. Two things there, Sass, I want to raise is, and I know I'm new to the show and I'm jumping across you a little bit. Apologies for that, but penalties.
Yeah.
After a draw.
Yeah.
What is happening? What do we think of that?
In the GAA, we've never seen it before in our lifetime, have we?
No,
it's a temporary.
We've actually never seen it. Yeah.
You can't afford replays in a pandemic season as it is.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I suppose
that's the solution for penalties. Yeah, fair enough. I'm happy with that. Or do you know what they could have done, and it would have really made it interesting. And you can. I'm willing to be correct on this, but it's just an idea I've had literally there. The winner at the end of full time was the team who scored the most goals.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring you back. I'm gonna throw you back because I'm the coach. When we were in school and we were doing after school extracurricular GA or hurling training, we got 3 points for over the bar and 1 point for in the goal because we were encouraged to score points more often. I suppose my point is specifically about football, and football does need a rule change that is going to make it that little bit more exciting. Hurling is as good as it's going to get. You're not going to make it better, I don't think. But football has changed in that last year hurling hit the sweet spot, didn't it? Was it last year?
Just well, every year, but last year
they hit the sweet spot. Yeah. Yellow slitters as well. Yellow slitters are coming in
the winter. Yeah, jeez. Yeah,
I think they possibly and yellow footballs. I think they missed a great marking opportunity as the FA Cup is pink balls. I think, if I remember correctly now, in the winter. And I think they might have missed a marking opportunity with breast cancer awareness, possibly. I think it might have been a nice double header there. Or
could have also gone with a rainbow ball.
They could have because they have the rainbow. They have the rainbow laces, and the captain's armband. Yeah, does be during LGBT month as well.
It's a couple just given the year that's in it. I think they might have missed a marketing opportunity or a fundraising opportunity there. Probably to put it better.
Absolutely.
They could do it for so many things. So many things. Like, I mean, the yellow ball could even represent Daffodil Day.
Yeah.
Or they've done that for like a week or a month or something like that. Yeah.
I think it's just one thing the GA, given it's an amateur association, I say, with bunny ears. I think it's just one thing they might have missed out on to give back this year.
But it's not.
They need to do it more often. I mean, can you remember? Was it the championship 2 years ago? And the referee from Mead.
Yes.
You might know his name, and he had Goff. David Goff.
Yeah.
And he had the rainbow band on his whistle, wasn't it? And they told him that he couldn't.
He was not allowed. Yes. Along with a great haircut, what I asked.
And it was it was actually. I think it was before that. I think it was during the time just before the equality referendum, and they were like, "Well, no, we can't do that because the GAA can't be an organization to be seen with siding with a certain issue." As in, they didn't want to make it so political. But I think
it's a great way of hiding bigotry. In any organisation. It's similar to what's going on with the NFL. It took the race riots for them now to allow for protest. And a lot of people will go. I keep touching the NFL. I'm really sorry for this because this segment was for
absolutely fine.
But the NFL, if you actually read on kind of issues protests they've had issues with, it's not always about civil rights matters. It's about everything. So the NFL's issue has not been solely bigotry. It's been a freedom of speech issue. And I think the GA sometimes is a bit like that in that we don't fully promote the personalities our players have.
I think they're very aware of not making everything a racket as well. Though. If you look at the NFL, any other season apart from this season, it seems to me like dropping more grenades. It seems like a racket. Like they've got
drop it.
They've got. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sass, but they've got an army week where they wear camouflage numbers.
Salute service.
Thank you. And stuff like that. And I just think like with the anthem thing and I completely agree with standing up for what's right, but there has to be, I think, at some stage you've got to step back and limit. It's like the minute silence if you go to an Irish international game, for example. I would say every time they meet up, there's a minute silence for something or someone. And I'm not saying that it's wrong or it's right to do, but it just seems like every game now there is something. So it has to be another way of us doing this. And it's taken away from the sport. Sport is sport. We don't go to work in our respective, offices, and the listeners don't go to work in their respective, fields and sit down for a minute or 10 minutes or whatever it might be because someone within the company or related to the company or whatever has died or, become abused of whatever it might be. I don't know. But I just feel like there's too much now. There's too much happening.
This happened. Can you remember years and years ago? Actually, I don't remember the year. I think it may be in 2004 or 2005, and it was when Roy Keane was still with Man United. And an old Man United player had passed away. And for the life of me, it's just coming to my head, I can't actually remember who it was, but they were playing City. They were playing Man City on the Saturday or the Sunday. And then, like that, they were like, oh, yeah, we're going to have a minute's silence for this person. But all the City fans were up in their end, and they were actually shouting and laughing and screaming abuse. And then it was after that they said, well, we're not going to have a minute of silence. We're going to have a minute of applause.
To drown the City fans.
I think that is where that originally came from. Now, I may be wrong, but that was one incident where it was a minute's silence, and then obviously the opposition fans were giving it the big in as
I understand where you're coming from, Coach, just to go back to your initial point. But I tend to disagree because I do think sport is a vehicle for change.
I agree.
And it's a fantastic opportunity. There is moments when sport is bigger than sport. And I do think there is a massive opportunity to raise social and cultural issues and project them live into people's homes in a way when they're kind of maybe switched off watching the game. For kids growing up, if you see their idols standing up for what's right, as opposed to an old man on the television who wants your vote, who's going to inspire a kid more to live a better lifestyle? And I do think there is. I know where you're coming from, and maybe it is oversaturated and overdone. But I do think it's important for kids growing up in society to have role models and to be taught the lesson that it's very important to stand up for what's right.
Completely agree, Sass. Completely agree. Well, good, well made. However, the one thing I would say is...
There's always a however.
I think the penultimate, the final, whatever, I think that we'll take the NFL as another example that I don't think every game should have an anthem. I don't think every game should have, a kneel. I don't think every game should have rainbow-coloured laces. I think when you get to the playoffs and the Super Bowl final, that's where you make your point. Because that's watched by the world. No?
Tend to disagree. Your players when you shouldn't, because that's when you should be focusing on winning. That's when you should be focusing on doing your job.
So the opposite way.
So there should be no promotion.
Are you saying the opposite way as in, you do the promotions or the minutes?
But the promotions is
in your regular games.
Yeah, in the regular season, in a round. Like this round is, and every year it'll be salute to service, so it's praising the military. This is the pink round, which is the women. Well, I'm saying women in league. That's the rugby league one. But it's the breast cancer awareness one. So for that whole weekend, we're focused on the issue of breast cancer. So look,
well then let's put one on every weekend. Do you know what I mean? Like it has to be one of the. I don't know. It's going to be a point that debates on for the next few years. And I think this year, probably more than ever, with Black Lives Matter, with pandemic, with everything else.
Like you could do, but if you look at any of that, we've seen, so like we love football and we watch football, we'd say just for example, where you'll have like your LGBT week or month.
Yeah.
Where they wear the rainbow laces and the captain wears the rainbow coloured captain's band.
Wristband, yeah.
If their wristband or whatever their captain's armband, if
Yeah,
you're, we'll say, using a pink football because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But then there's other things as well, like, you know, the way the English celebrate St. George's Day and they have the poppy.
Oh, this is a whole show.
Moving swiftly on. Moving swiftly on. We're gonna go to around the globe. So basically, we're gonna cover all other sports from around the globe. Moving very swiftly on. So I don't know if you've seen, gents, but especially on the day James McLean got sent off. Jesus Christ.
Let's avoid the.
I don't know if you've seen
You did not
Friday night.
make it there, Doctor.
Friday night, the LA Lakers were defeated by the Miami Heat, and we've also got Game 6 tonight. Incredible performance by Jimmy Butler. I think he played all but 46 seconds of that matchup, and there is footage I've actually put up on our Instagram page. He was out on his feet. He limped off after the post-match questions, just out of like cramp and fatigue. He was phenomenal. But I've just put up obviously the viewers won't see this, I've put up the stats. It was an incredible matchup between LeBron and Jimmy Butler. Both for their respective teams led their teams in points, rebounds and assists. What more can you ask of your players? But yeah, Game 6 tonight. So we could have an NBA champion by the time this goes out, or we could be looking forward to a Game 7. And gents, or did any see the highlights or anything like that? Or
I, for one, will be staying up to watch this game. And Sass, I think I think the Sass can agree. I had a conversation with Sass during the week via WhatsApp message, and I did say to my family he would win. Did I not, Sass?
You did. You actually. Some of our social media followers will know we've started doing basically top games, top sporting events to watch over the weekend of a Thursday afternoon, evening time. And your particular pick was the Lakers and the Heat. But I would say the gentleman you're standing in for tonight did pick this game last week. But yeah, look, currently 3-2.
You picked the Heat to go to 4-3, didn't you? I think.
He predicted a gentleman's sweep, which look, let's be very honest here. I'd put my hands up. That's what I agreed with. I agreed with him with that as well, and I think the wider sports board believe that too.
Yeah, but the whole Lakers thing, they kind of weigh in on the Mamba jerseys and all this sort of stuff. I just think they're underestimating the Heat. I think the Heat have a lot in them. I think they might go. I think they could do the same tonight. I think all they have to do is win the first 2 quarters and it's their game.
Yeah, I think the injury suffered by Anthony Davis in Game 5 is a point of concern for the Lakers, because I mean, I don't know if you've seen the pretty much the final play. LeBron drives to the hole, kicks it back out to Danny Green with a wide open three, and he absolutely bricks it. They actually win the rebound, and it's kind of a bouncy ball or whatever. And Markieff Morris gets it, and I don't know, like, I would have had a better attempt at the bucket. He missed the backboard. It was that bad. Like the Lakers, it is potentially, outside of your top 2 stars, is potentially the worst squad to make it to an NBA Finals outside of playoff Rondo. They have so many players that have aged and are like shadows of the former self. Like Danny Green was brilliant in Toronto last year. He hasn't worked in LA.
Right, well, I've got a question for you. LeBron came out after the game and he said, Green was in the right place, right time, and couldn't execute the shot effectively. And I thought it was very, very, very poor of LeBron. The way he kind of answered the question.
I don't think you've quoted the full quote.
I have not quoted the full quote at all.
Yes.
But
what followed that?
I think he mentioned along the lines that Green was disappointed in himself.
No. He said, because I trusted him to make the shot. I always trust my colleagues. And you can put your fishing rod away there now. And you can put some respect on that man's name, because not alone is he leading the NBA on the court, he's leading society off it. So you can throw some respect on his name, because I know your game. I know your game. A Celtics fan. Slating the Lakers. Slating the Lakers. Oh, jeez, that's hardly predictable. Oh, thanks be to God this video doesn't go to air. Anyway, look, if you're a basketball fan...
Look, I call the Miami... I'm a big NBA fan. Big fan. I feel the Heat do it tonight. I really do. I think it's going to come down to the wire.
And do you think they win Game 7 if so?
No, I think the Lakers take it. I do. I really do.
You think we get a Game 7?
I'm not a big... Yeah, I think we get Game 7. I think Heat take it tonight.
That's fair. That's more than fine. I suppose other results. Yes, it's this time again of the week where I ram the NRL down your throat. Two phenomenal games in the finals this weekend. The Canberra Raiders avenged their defeat to the Sydney Roosters in last year's grand final. So they will move on and play Melbourne Storm this Friday. 10 to 10, I think, in the morning it's going to be. And then secondly, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, the side owned by Russell Crowe, defeated the Parramatta Eels and move on to play this season's regular season or Premiers champions, the Penrith Panthers. So that's your semi-finals of the NRL. So basically you're only going to have to listen to me for 2 more weeks. Digress on the NRL. And finally, Irish Rugby Union fans, I suppose, were robbed last night of the opportunity to witness what from all accounts seems to have been a fantastic game. The All Blacks in Australia played the first Bledisloe Cup game. It finished 16-all. By all reports, it was a phenomenal game. Played in a full house as well. I don't know if any of you have seen the footage. It was a packed house, which is great to see. Great to see.
It didn't snow.
Well worth the watch anyway.
Did you see the kick that hit the post?
Yeah,
I'll take your word for it.
Wow.
Did you?
What yardage was that, Sass? It must have been
62, 63.
Yeah. Incredible. And it was still going into the crowd. That wasn't stopping. That was going.
Yeah, he had 70 in him. Anyway, anything else to add, anything else from around the world? I think there was a bit of UFC this weekend. I didn't actually catch it. Everyone, I think, has seen the knockout at this stage when we go out Tuesday.
As you know, and I do like dropping grenades, I did watch the Bellator last weekend, and there was a little bit of it this weekend, and I have to say that if any of those Irish fighters, if there was a bottle to drink of Conor McGregor quotes, sayings, and mannerisms, they drank it. They drank it. Kiefer Crosby, Jimmy, the Jimmy Show, they drank it. It's painful.
This is when Barrick makes a WWE style entrance.
Yeah, yes. Always.
Look, listen, lads. I just think you had to do, like, you were talking about the early 90s and all that sort of stuff. You had WWE, and I would have, as a kid, I would have watched WWF as it was then, and you would have had, like, anything the WWF had. All the other, all the other organizations attempted to do the same. So if Kane had a red mask and was coming out with flames, WCW or AEW or whatever they were called had pretty much an exact replica. And it just feels now like that's what Bellator is doing with UFC. Kiefer Crosby, Jimmy, as long I wouldn't like to be down an alley with them at night time, but oh my God, it was cringy. It was a cringe fest. The fighting is much better. There are more even fights. They are amateur.
The only thing I would say to that, though, is you're saying it's better fights. I think they are probably better fights. I don't know an awful lot now. I'm just speculating here.
Mm-hmm.
The money is still the UFC, so they have to sell themselves.
It is the money shot. But this is where I'm not 100% sure that Bellator know what they're doing, and they
as an organization, basically, is that what you're trying
as
to
an organization. These boys, Jimmy and Kiefer Crosby, and there was one other Irish fighter that escapes me currently, and it was a big Irish fighter. So I do apologize for that. No, Shabanimal's the Jimmy Show. I do apologize.
Jimmy, James Gallagher.
It is a Kavanagh fighter as far as I can reconcile, but I'm not sure that Bellator know what they've got themselves into, because if the UFC fancy them, Jimmy's gonna go, Kiefer's gonna go. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm not 100% sure they know what they've got themselves into there. But I just feel like they need to make themselves. They need to have their own character. Jimmy is a little bit different in that he's he's like an early McGregor. McGregor's kind of developed a little bit in himself. He's become more mature, I think, and stuff like that. And if he's to fight on December 12th, which seems to be what's happening over the last couple of weeks, early indications would say that the UFC didn't want him to fight because they wouldn't have an audience, wouldn't be able to sell tickets. But now I think pay-per-view will probably outweigh that, and I think McGregor will probably have to take a pay cut. In saying McGregor taking a pay cut wouldn't be a lot, he would still get paid in the thirds of millions, but from pay-per-view obviously. But I think that's the way it's going to go. I think we'll probably see McGregor fight before the new year against Dustin Poirier. It could potentially be in Dublin.
It could potentially be a charity fight as well.
It could be potentially a charity, but I think UFC will take onus.
Yeah, it's too much money to turn down.
It's too much money to turn down. I don't think they'll fight in Dublin. I know McGregor wants it in Dublin, but at Dublin with no crowd.
I don't think he wants that. I don't think he wants Dublin with no crowd.
Yeah.
I think McGregor, do you know what? I'm going to go against you here. I think McGregor probably does want Dublin with no crowd for the travel purposes, but I think UFC, in terms of bringing staff over, are going to want it in Vegas, New York, or possibly even Boston. Possibly even Fight Island, because it doesn't matter to them. It's only pay-per-views. It's only pay-per-views to them. But in terms of moving their staff...
The only thing about Fight Island is the times are still more convenient to an American audience, so that they need to potentially factor in having a more universal friendly time, because obviously Ireland's a small country, so McGregor sales and fights, it's not really going to sink the ship, but look, every penny helps. Anything else from the wild water sport? Ireland won a gold medal in rowing today.
I've seen that.
I did win a gold medal, yeah.
Sonia Surprise, is it, or how do you say it?
Purspur?
It's gone out of my head now. Fantastic achievement. We are...
Sunita Purspur, was it?
Ooh, he's not far off.
Not far off.
While you're searching...
Rowing Ireland are...
Oh, here we go.
A phenomenal credit to this country. We have some phenomenal rowers. And we have the facilities, so we can be even better.
Facilities? Where?
Let me go.
While you're searching, Beric, just to touch on it, Irish rugby squad announced for the Six Nations. John Cooney, very, very, very unlucky to miss out, I feel.
A few unlucky.
Well, Conor Murray seems to be untouchable in the Irish rugby squad. Casey down in Munster, did he get in? Correct me if I'm wrong. It was Jameson Gibson Park got in from Leinster, who was technically not an Irish international. I feel we're a little bit... what's the word? I'm not sure what the word. I just feel young up-and-comers like Chris Casey, I think we should have in the squad, versus James Gibson Park, who is older and therefore not going to be in the squad as long. If that makes any sort of sense.
There's also the aspect too of, right, and this gets lost on a lot of people, but it's just a personal opinion, I could be wrong. You're bringing in an experienced journeyman. His role might not be to be Ireland's number 9, but he could help. Yeah, but he could help develop a few talented.
He very well can help him develop, but if he goes into a Six Nations squad, who's below him to help develop?
Luke McGrath.
I think, yeah, but I think, why not go Murray, Luke McGrath in that case?
Fair.
I think Murray is lost on people now. I think he's possibly in a squad for his social media following, and I think his time is done. Get him out. Cooney be number 1.
The lady's name is Sunita Purspur.
Sunita, congratulations. Congratulations, Sunita.
Congratulations, Sunita. And apologies for not having your name rolling off the tip of my tongue, because it's a phenomenal achievement. Congratulations.
Pretty sure that I said that.
Yeah, you weren't far off. We'll have to. We're not going to know till Tuesday. We're not going to know till Tuesday.
when you listen to this on Tuesday, good morning, or good afternoon, or
Good
good
day.
evening, whatever. Good day.
I would just like to say one thing, Sass, if that's okay.
Fire away.
Sass, as the captain of our squad, I would just like to say Champagne Football has a documentary on
Exactly,
it. I don't know
yes.
if some of our listeners have the book at this stage. I would say I think it's possibly 3 weeks now. It's a great insight into John Delaney's FAI. And Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, Virgin 1 is the documentary about, I think it is titled John Delaney's FAI. And for anyone like
Part,
yourself,
one episode.
yeah, it's one episode, it's one doc, and for anyone heavily influenced by kind of grassroots football into kind of League of Ireland, into slightly into professional and obviously international football in our country, it's going to be a great watch. And to quote John Delaney himself, if you want free drink, get to the bar. Okay, on our Sunday.
Well, in his continued absence,
And
Doctor, why don't you take us away?
Champions League football as well, just to finish us off. We're going to come through this international break, okay? Don't worry about it. Premier League will be back soon enough. And then Champions League football, I think, is back on Tuesday week. So it'll be the 20th or the 21st. So we have that to look forward to as well. So plenty to fill in on future podcasts coming in to the next couple of weeks. I've been the Doctor. He's been the Sasquatch. And thank you to the coach. Hopefully to have you back on the podcast very soon.
It's been a pleasure, guys.
Take
Thank you
care.
very
We'll
much.
say good night. We'll say God bless. And we'll say be safe. No illegal gatherings. Follow us on Instagram. Like, share, etc., etc.